I have a question regarding cremation. My husband was cremated, and my plans are to be cremated. Is there any objections to this within the Christian religion, as being a Christian, or what? And will I still see him up there?
Pastor Glaze.
Well, the fact of the matter is that long enough, given the time, all of us are going to turn to ashes. So, cremation just expedites it a little bit faster. So, I believe that when we go to heaven, that God will allow us to be manifested, whether it's in a body or whatever way, but she'll be able to recognize her husband, and he'll be able to recognize her. Now, they won't be married in heaven, but they will recognize each other. But I will say this, that the scripture, to me is kind of neutral on the whole issue. It doesn't condemn it or promote it. We have examples of people in the Bible who were burned alive. Speaking personally, for me, I'm going to be buried because I think, to me, now again, this is not meant to be gospel, or I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm, but I want to look forward to the resurrection. In 1 Corinthians 15, God said that he would raise my body. Yeah. And so, he can still raise it in cremation and bring it back together. But I want my statement to be, as I lay in that casket and as they put me in the ground, that, I'm having that faith that God is going to raise me up. So that's just me.
Well, I think that's certainly key. Anybody else got anything to add to
One
this?
thing I'd say, it deals with cremation, but a lot of times people are worried about, is it biblically right? Well, what about someone that was in a nuclear war? What if somebody was eaten by a fish or a whale? I mean, God's still going to resurrect them. So I don't want people to be concerned that if I get cremated, will I go to hell, or will I, or whatever. If I'm being cremated, am I going to feel it in the fire, and things like that. My mother was cremated. I walked her through that question, because she was concerned about it. She's like, I want to be cremated. She goes, but am I going to be in there and kind of know I'm being burnt and things like that? Right. And no, to be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord. I mean, so it's just important that we understand that doesn't have to be legalistic.
Let me ask you something. Why do people want to be cremated anyway?
Most, what I find as a pastor, especially pastoring in the inner city, is finances.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, I don't want people looking at me.
That's what my mom said. She goes, you don't want anybody looking at her.
Wait a minute, you're not going to care.
They just do a closed casket.
I don't know, there's something about the closure of seeing the person, I think that's important. But again, no hard opinions on this. I will say this, to your point, Pastor Glaze, when I was in college, there was a professor of mine that was an expert on cemeteries, one of the leading experts on cemeteries in the world. He took us on a field trip, and we went to this old cemetery. It was like a private cemetery and a family cemetery. And he said, I want you to notice something. All these graves are facing east. Every one of the graves is facing east because of the belief that Jesus is going to return, and you're going to rise up, and you don't have to turn around. You're going to be facing towards him. So I don't know. We're just going to be with him, and that's what's going to matter. But good question, good answers.